Time for another Coffee with Kilroy. A Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday edition. Yes, it's Saturday, and if it's Saturday morning when you're watching this, well, grab a cup of coffee and join me, or join me with whatever you're drinking. If you're watching this middle day or in the evening or whenever, hope you're having a good one. I like to call Coffee with Kilroy beverage in a book, and my beverage is coffee. And the book today is A Billion Suns, Interstellar Fleet Battles from Osprey Wargames, and designer or author or producer, whatever you want to call, Mike Hutchinson is the designer of this game. This is a miniatures war game, a space miniatures war game. And I have, hence the Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday edition. I have a few miniature war game sets or space miniature sets that I've picked up over time. Let's take a look at those now. Let me move my coffee so I don't make a mess. But I have Star Wars miniatures, which was a so-so type system that dealt with Star Wars miniatures that predated the X-Wing miniatures. And X-Wing really became kind of the standard for playing Star Wars miniatures, and it led to a larger scale type battles as well, and a whole different system, or a similar system but a little bit different scale. And then it also translated over into Star Trek as well. And these games were kind of loosely based on kind of the Wings of War system, where you had you select maneuvers, and you have a little dial that you can select maneuvers and go into battle, and you'll have these templates that are based on those maneuvers, whether it's a curve or it's a straight or what have you. And so both these games were based on that. Here's some of the templates there. So I also had WizKids HeroClix for Star Trek, which was adaptation of HeroClix to Star Trek, and kind of a miniatures game there as well. So, I'm not, as you've watched my channel, you probably know I'm not a huge miniatures person. I kind of dabble in it, kind of more adjacent to it than deep into it at any one point. But I do kind of enjoy some of these kind of miniature rule sets. And I keep all these in a good old Plano box here that has, where I can pop up here a little bit and take a look here. You're getting the special bonus today. So I keep all my stuff in here. Like, here's those dials that you do, to pick the maneuvers. Here's the different ships, and some of those maneuver templates and stuff like that. But I also have some of the the Star Trek. These are the HeroClix ones here that I have in here, and then also have a lot of other stuff stored here. This is where all the other Star Wars miniatures and the like are. This has tokens and cards, and then you've got some of the different Star Wars miniatures from that Star Wars miniatures game. So, and then got cards in here and all kinds of stuff in there. So that's kind of how I keep that all stored in there. So, as I said, have some Star Wars or I should say some space miniatures type rule sets. Some of these are, especially the Attack Wing and the X-Wing miniatures game are really more, not so much miniatures as they're just a self-contained game. I mean, they're kind of miniatures, but I don't think they're like this system that we're looking at here with Billion Suns. So with that, let's turn some pages and get into this bad boy. Also, This was nominated for the Charles S. Roberts Awards for the 2021 year. That was just, for the 2021 year. So, which those awards just came out, and it wasn't a winner, but it was again, it was nominated in the sci-fi space. As you see on the back here, it says A Billion Suns, Interstellar Fleet Battles. A Billion Suns is a miniatures war game of interstellar combat that puts you in command of a fleet of mighty battleships, sleek destroyers, and agile fighters as you join a gold rush to claim the stars. Use jump gates to deploy and navigate warships across multiple play areas and a unique tabletop gaming experience. Bring them into battle when and where they are most needed. Enjoy a host of innovative rules, including an elegant combat system reflecting the massive range of weapons and scales, and a tech tree system to build your own unique sci-fi faction. Manage your resources and seize your opportunities that come your way in order to lead your fleet to victory and assert your dominance over the stars. So one thing I did leave out here, this isn't all my space miniature games, but I mean, I've got some Starfleet battle stuff. That's really don't call that miniatures, it's more of just a board game, right? Because you use counters, but you could use miniatures. And I did a little bit of space battles with Traveller. I was a big Traveller role-playing game person. In fact, I played Traveller before I played Dungeons and Dragons back in the day. So, but the systems there, I think there was a game Mayday, but that was a self-contained game. I can't really recall if there was a separate miniature system for Traveller, or if we just kind of used the rules that we could find and did combat that way. We didn't have a lot of space battles. A lot of it was more on the surface or on a ship. So anyway, enough of that. Enough of me walking down memory lane. Time to drink. So let's go in a little bit closer here so you can see this book even better here. The Osprey Wargame books, or the miniature book, come in these kind of the same size format, kind of a glossy cover. They're in color. They're nice and compact and put together well. Here's some more of those kind of games here. Here's Fighting Cell, Black Ops, Poseidon's Warriors, Rogue Stars, Pikeman's Lament, and Zona Alpha. So it looks like there's some other different rule sets there. Then in here you have the contents. What is this book? Basic training. It does have a little bit of an introduction. It's a couple of pages or a page or two on how the gameplay generally looks, what you need to play, spaceships, core concepts, playing the game, jumping, activations, combat, additional rules, space, contracts, setting up a game, core system contracts, designing your own corporation, competitive advantages, campaigns, afterthoughts, and quick reference. A couple of concepts in here that I just did a cursory look through this. So you're looking at this kind of at the same time I am, but my cursory look, there's a couple of concepts that jump out to me. One that they use a set of cards in here. They use a deck of cards to generate some stuff. That's kind of, for me, reminiscent of the high-flying dice games. They generally use cards a lot, or a standard deck of cards. And there's this concept of CEO. Instead of like you're a captain or commander or whatever, they're CEO. So I think you're mainly, these are rival corporations, I believe, that are kind of going after each other. And then you have this concept of contracts. That's kind of the missions. Since you have CEOs instead of captains and you have contracts instead of missions, that's my general take. I could be wrong on that. If you've played this a lot, feel free to jump in and correct me wherever you want to, because I can't stop you. And I'm used to it. So, but those are a couple concepts, or a few concepts I kind of noticed as I was going through this at a very, very high level. Here's your introduction. They have their own timeline here. Usually sci-fi games do that, to kind of put you in the position of where you're at now, because you're usually in the near or far future, and so they want to kind of tell you how you got there. So you have this introduction here, talking about the corporation, what this book is. It says Billion Stars is a tabletop science fiction miniatures war game of interstellar combat for 2 to 4 players. Each player commands a fleet of mighty battleships, sleek destroyers, and agile fighters as they join a mad gold rush to claim the new frontier of humanity's conquest of the stars. Does that sound familiar? When combined with some spaceship miniatures, a tape measure, a deck of playing cards, and some dice, this rulebook provides everything you need to play the exciting, tense tabletop games of interstellar exploration and combat. Here's this basic training, which is kind of a little tutorial here. It'll talk you a little bit about setup, command, jump phase, tactical phase, pacifier, attack step, and then round 2. So 2 pages here, a little bit more on carryover from the beginning there. They kind of just walk you through a little bit about what to expect in this game. So I find that kind of interesting that there's a little bit of a tutorial right up front, even before you get into the rules. What you need to play. So, I mean, one reason I showed you where my miniatures, some of those are probably off scale here because they're kind of large, or they're meant for tactical. So, but I possibly could use some of those in here if I wanted to, or, grab spaceships out of some of my other games. I have quite a few space games that are, not necessarily war games. A lot of 4X space games as well that have little plastic minis that I could use. And so, yeah, I've got a lot of resources just through, scavenging through my other games. But you might have your own miniatures that you've collected or painted, or what you do in the hobby. So you need a play area. Of course, that could probably be any table. Miniatures, dice, cards, tokens, and I imagine you can get as chromey as you want and upgrade tokens and the like. You need a measuring device. This talks about spaceships. Here's your ship classes there. Let's take a look at that real quick there. So you've got cost, mass, thrust, silhouette, shields, primary weapons, and auxiliary weapons. And there's like some notes out to the side. Osprey does that from time to time, these little notes to kind of tell you a little bit further explanation of some of the stuff that's in the middle of the page. Here's some core concepts, dice rolling and measuring conventions, in and out of play, scale, credits, how you buy stuff. And there's kind of an economic system to this because you've got credits, deficit, profit. So, and I think that whole concept of CEO and contracts comes into play, where this has got some of an economic background to it as you're building up your company, maybe. Playing the game. Here's the round structure here. Talks about the different phases: command phase, jump phase, tactical phase, end phase, and game end, and victory. There's a victory table there. Sorry for a little bit of shading. It's very, very overcast here today and cold, hence the coffee. Jumping, kind of definitely a space sci-fi staple. Operational limit, deploying jump points, deploying battle group, activations here. So movement step, pivoting. Here's some of your movement type stuff. Jump out step. Here's combat, and then you got your different weapon systems there. Light blasters, blasters, auto blasters, turbo blasters, laser cannon, light rail guns, defense grid, torpedoes, cruise missiles, heavy railguns, mining laser, macro beam, and planet smasher. Those railguns kind of make me call back to The Expanse. I don't know if any of you watched that. In my opinion, excellent sci-fi series. Read a few of the books, but I really did enjoy the series. And I think they're coming out with a new book, actually, in the series. So this is all about combat. Doesn't look too heavy. I mean, there's paragraphs are kind of small. especially these over here, trying to tell you about the different things that you need to know. And you've got a lot of notes out to the side. You got some additional rules here. You got commands and how that works. Then you got an additional jump phase rules, additional tactical phase rules, explosions, critical weapon malfunctions, mother's wing. And here's an advanced attack example. So they have examples in here as well. And then talking about some of the ships, utility ships and carriers, and then talking about space in general here. Dangerous space, objects. You got communication satellites, facilities, independent ships, planetoids, tokens during display. Then you get into this contracts, and this is that part that I was saying. These feel a little bit kind of like missions, and these are set up by regular deck of cards because the different suits are going to be telling you which are different contracts. And then you draw cards to figure those out. And you got some revenue here, maximum available revenue. So as you see here, there is an economic side of this game. I guess you could just throw down some minis and use the combat system. But I think this whole book or rule set is kind of geared towards something bigger than that, something that has kind of a campaign type feel to it. You're setting up the game. Different scales, different contracts there. Core system contracts, so quite a bit of rules. Actually, there's probably more rules on contracts than there is on combat. There's your contract generator there. You got, InfoWar contract, patrol contract, demolition contract, so evacuation contract, supply contract, quarantine contracts. Tells you the setup and the docking and supply and revenue. So basically kind of, again, feels like a mission, right? Rex's harvesting contract, counterintelligence contract, shipping contract, mining contract, whaling contract. It's kind of interesting. There's space krakens. Then you got designing your own corporation here. And there's kind of art, as you've seen here, there were some pictures of ships and stuff, and there's some art, full color art in here as well, somewhat evocative of the game. Competitive advantages. This is developing your own corporation, capital, research and development, aggression, discipline. Got quite a bit of different endurance. And these tell you what your benefits are for that type of corporation. So instead of factions or planets or races, you've got corporations here, right? And these are kind of like skills or things that are unique that you can develop for your corporation. Helmsmanship, logistics, military. They have like different levels, so there's almost like a skill here or a trait. You got campaigns. Talking about how you would set up and win a campaign. And then afterthoughts, which are some designer notes, credits to the game, talking about where I guess he got some of his ideas from. There's some free downloads here at a website here. So I imagine you could probably tokens and stuff like that, or maybe some tables, or even I don't know what all they have in there. But here's a quick reference. If you're playing this game, you might want to make a copy of that. And keep that out to the side because it has your setup and round structure and combat. So a nice little quick reference there. Hence the name, quick reference. And then you've got this is kind of a corporation chart or a character sheet somewhat. A corp name, credits, jump in, seize initiative, tactical. So that might be something you might want to copy as well. And here's some more Osprey stuff here. And is that it? That's the back page. There you have it. That is A Billion Suns. So it's a space miniatures game, but it really feels to me more like a economic type game, and more of, you know, a lot of space games kind of go to pirating and lawlessness, you know, like the Firefly universe and the like. And I have several of those games that kind of go into that aspect of space. This one might have some of that, but it looks like it's going more for the corporate side, right? The economic side of going out and fulfilling different contracts and building up your corporation, and then maybe buying a bigger fleet or developing, I guess, your abilities. So looks like a little bit, not just a tactical miniatures game as it looks here. It looks like there's more rules on the whole corporation and economic development of your company and the contracts or / missions that you go on than the combat itself. Anyway, so there you have it. That is A Billion Suns. Interstellar Fleet Battles by Mike Hutchison and published by Osprey Wargames here on Coffee with Kilroy, Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday edition. Love to know your thoughts on this. This was, somebody's had to play it because it got enough nominations to make it into the voting for the Charles S. Roberts Awards. So somebody liked it out there. So love to know if you're one of them. Hey, give me some comments on this. What do you think about this? What's good, bad, or ugly? Thanks for stopping by on this Saturday or whatever day you're watching this. Appreciate it. One of the ways I know you stopped by is drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Take care. Thanks for watching.